Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming SCS exams happening in August 2025. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor and evaluator for SCS at TCS. So let's look at the session plan. First things first, I'm going to share some general feedback with you. Most of you are done with mock exam 5, thereby it shows that you are adhering to the original 8-week study plan, which is extremely good. So after going through your answer scripts, I identified certain issues, and I'll explain what you need to do to overcome each of these issues when conducting your preparations in this upcoming 1.5 weeks. And then, as usual, just like what I did in the P3 and F3 workshops, I will be taking you through the syllabus areas concerning your E3 syllabus, and then I will direct your attention towards mock exam 1, subtask 2, in which I'm going to take you through a question to do with um, board remuneration, which is covered within our first mock exam. And then I will be conducting a Q&A session towards the very end of today's workshop. So let me quickly remind you the final workshop, which is happening next Saturday at 9 GMT or 10 AM UK, in which I'm going to share last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into the exam with a high level of positivity. Because if you believe in yourself, if you're confident, then you will easily pass this examination. So just like what you have done across these 7 weeks, I hope you will definitely attend the last workshop as well to benefit from last minute tips, which is going to be a confidence booster for you. All right, so let's try to understand what I understood after going through your answer scripts concerning mock exam 5. So still I can see that in certain instances you are deflecting from the requirement, especially when you're dealing with certain syllabus areas which you are not too conversant with. There's a tendency for you to deflect from the requirement or to misunderstand the requirement. So this happens mainly due to the fact that you have knowledge gaps concerning certain theoretical elements. So this issue can be avoided after you have watched the master classes, and when you take steps to redevelop answer plans, then you will understand how to tackle each syllabus area in the most appropriate manner. And also, when going through your answer scripts, as I mentioned a while back, I saw that you guys have knowledge gaps as well as issues with application. Especially if you're coming through an exemption route, definitely you will have knowledge gaps concerning your F3 and P3 syllabi. You will be somewhat conversant with what appears within your E3 syllabus, but when it comes to F3 and P3, you will struggle. So I saw this when marking your 5th mock exam. And if you have knowledge gaps, definitely you cannot focus on application as well. So it takes some practice for you to fine tune your application skills. So I see a considerable improvement between what we have done in mock exam 3 and mock exam 5, because in mock exam 3 there were major concerns with regards to application, but there's a significant improvement in the way in which you are approaching each question, in the way in which you are focusing on application. So things that improve, but there's always room for improvement. So what I'm asking you to say is, to keep redeveloping answer plans, watch the master classes, and then redevelop answer plans. Then you will easily fine tune your application skills. And with regards to theory knowledge, that's where the master classes and answer plans come into play. Once you have watched the master classes, you will easily learn how each syllabus area should be addressed, or how each syllabus area should be input when developing your answers at your real examination. And I still see that you guys are struggling to identify how many points you need to include under each subtask. So there was a question which appeared within the WhatsApp group yesterday, and one of you was saying that in order to get the most amount of marks, you need to include as many points as necessary, or you have to come up with hordes and hordes of information, or hordes and hordes of points to get full marks. That should not be the case. As I've mentioned in the third webinar and throughout the workshop series, I highlighted this point. you are supposed to determine how many points you need to include within each subtask based on the weightages provided. So I explained all these things in depth in the third webinar. If you are yet to watch it, please go watch the recorded version of the third webinar, which can be accessed via our student dashboard as well as via our YouTube handle. It's essential that you develop answers which are aligned with mark allocations, which are aligned with the weightages, because if not, you will end up losing a lot of time, or you will end up developing answers which are too long or too short. For instance, if there's a question which only carries 10 marks, there's absolutely no point of you trying to gain 20 marks, because the marker is never going to give you 20 marks when the weightage indicates that you are only being awarded 10 marks. So if you are dealing with a question to do with 10 marks, then as per our answering technique, you know for a fact you need to include 3 to 5 valid points. So divide 10 by 3, which comes up to something like 3. Then divide 10 by 2, which comes up to 5. So if you come up with 3 to 5 valid points, you will gain 10 marks. So likewise, in each subtask, always look at the weightage. Based on the weightage, determine mark allocations, divide the mark allocation by 3, and again divide it by 2. Then you will understand how many points you need to include. Do not include points aimlessly, or do not try to include all the points in a certain subtask, because if you try to do so, you will definitely run out of time. You will score extremely good marks for one single subtask, whereas in the remaining two subtasks, you will end up running out of time, thereby losing a lot of marks. So I hope you will stick to you will stick to our answering technique rather than trying to figure out your own methods, because we are preaching a tried and tested method. I hope you have practiced it when attempting the mock exams. I want you to keep practicing it in the upcoming 1.5 weeks as well. And at the real examination, I want you to implement the same techniques. Don't try to deviate from our plan. It's essential that you stick to the plan in this final week, in this final 1.5 week. All right, so these are the shortcomings. And if you had gone through the answer scripts, I've highlighted mainly these 3 points. So I hope you'd understand what your shortcomings are, and then you take steps to overcome these issues when conducting revision, which is to redevelop answer plans on your own. All right. So having said that, let's try to understand what appears under your E3 syllabus. So there's a higher weightage provided towards the E3 syllabus, because the E pillar, or the enterprise pillar, is has everything to do with decision making. So you are supposed to play the role of a senior finance manager who is directly reporting to board members. So you are involved with long-term decision making. So one of your prime responsibilities is to assist the board members. So you have to be part and parcel of the decision making processes of your organization. So if you are coming through the general route, or even if you're coming through FLP, if you have done the OCS exam, I mentioned the fact that at OCS, E1 is actually not tested, or the E pillar is not tested. Why is this the case? At the operational level, you are supposed to play the role of a finance officer. As a finance officer, you are supposed to assist your finance manager. So there's no decision-making involved. So your decision-making capabilities, since these capabilities are not tested at the OCS exam or the operational case study examination, the E pillar will not be tested. But as opposed to the OCS exam, when you look at the strategic case study or the SCS examination, definitely your decision-making skills are tested. So this is an E3 heavy examination. So everything to do with strategy, evaluation, and formulation will be tested at the examination. So you have to be conversant with how to evaluate each strategic option, considering the vision, mission, and values of your chosen company. It's essential that you gain a good understanding of your chosen company's vision, mission, and values. And if there are any shortcomings, you need to understand these things as well. That's exactly why I've covered all these elements in the annotated pre-scene and the pre-scene analysis videos, because let me quickly take you to the annotated pre-scene to explain what I'm talking about. So if you look at the mission, vision, and values of Leothayre, everything looks fine, but there are certain shortcomings as well, because there's no mention of the importance of achieving safety and reliability when conducting our manufacturing operations, and we have to integrate safety and reliability into our into all our manufacturing operations. We should integrate safety and reliability into our testing initiatives as well. And there's no mention about the type of collaborations which we rely on when operating within this industry, because we are reliant on a number of suppliers, launch providers, and other third parties to run our business in a foolproof manner. So it's essential that we include about these type of collaborations, especially within our mission or within our value statements. And there's absolutely no mention about sustainability and emissions within our mission, vision, and value statements, which is crucial, because at the very end of this pre-scene, you would have seen a newspaper article which is taken from Wexland Daily, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a mention about the space debris problem. The government has already signed the SJC, or the Space Junk Charter. So in such an environment, it's essential, which indicates the fact that players within the industry as well as the regulators within the industry are pushing towards sustainability, because we are operating in an industry which is polluting the environment heavily. So when operating in this type of an environment, when the regulators have introduced the SJC, and when when we are dealing with ESG focused clients, it's essential that we start believing in sustainability. So there's absolutely no mention about sustainability and emissions within our mission, vision, and value statements. So it's essential that we start believing in these things. So as I mentioned earlier, you need to have the capability of evaluating a certain strategic option or some type of an opportunity which we are trying to exploit, considering the vision, mission, and values. When doing so, you need to understand the current shortcomings of the vision, mission, and values of your chosen company. So I've covered this element in one of the mock exams which I've developed. Also, you have to have a good understanding about how to pursue a diversification. There could be a situation in your exam where Leothayre is pursuing vertical integration, thereby trying to acquire a supplier, for instance, because it's essential that we have access to, or we are integrated vertically. We have access to our own, supplies. If we can build them by ourselves, it will be extremely beneficial for us, because it's essential that we gain access to space grade components. So the best way to control the quality of the components which we utilize is to manufacture them in-house, because rather than relying on a third party, it makes absolute sense to manufacture them in-house if you are really thinking in terms of quality. So you have to be conversant with how to deal with a vertical integration, which can be tested at the exam. And also when expanding to a new market, how this type of a diversification will impact our internal dynamics, how our internal dynamics will change, and how to deal with these type of changes. All these things will be tested, especially given the fact that there's a mention about the SaaS business model, or the satellite as a service business model, towards the very end of your pre-scene as part of one of the news articles. So when pursuing this type of SaaS diversification, we are entering a new market in which we are supposed to sell data. We are not doing it at the moment. We are simply designing, manufacturing, testing, and controlling the satellites which we manufacture. However, if we go down this route, thereby exploiting the SaaS business model, then it opens up a new market in which we are supposed to sell our data to third parties. So these type of diversifications, vertical integration, which is about acquiring a supplier, or entering a new market, which is about exploiting the SaaS business model, can be tested at the exam. Both these scenarios are covered within our mock exams. And how to deal with options, what we should do when it comes to purchasing options, strategies, when we have opportunities to exploit, or when we have strategic options at our disposal, how to go ahead with these options. These things will be tested. And how to deal with an acquisition, because there could be a situation where we try to acquire a smaller company. It could be a supplier, a component manufacturer, or it could be some type of other type of company which helps us to expand our market share. So these type of acquisitions, how to deal with these type of acquisitions, what happens when dealing with these acquisitions in a post-acquisition environment, all these things will be tested. You should also be capable to compare between acquisition versus organic growth. So when companies are growing, they have to either acquire a company or pursue organic growth or grow by themselves. So if you pursue organic growth, it is going to take a lot of time to increase the size of the company, but you can easily increase the size of the company instantaneously if you go for an acquisition. However, when pursuing an acquisition, there are a set of challenges which we have to deal with, because we are dealing with a totally different company. The culture, there could be different cultural dynamics. There will be issues with the management structures and the way in which our company and some other company operates. So we have to deal with all these complexities when dealing with an acquisition. As opposed to an acquisition, if you pursue organic growth, then we can grow the company easily without facing a lot of complexities, but there's a lot of investments needed, and it takes a lot of time to grow in an organic manner. So you have to have the capability of evaluating both these options, and your knowledge concerning the emergent approach to strategy formulation will definitely be tested at this exam. Why am I saying this? Because Leothayre is a small company which is at its growth stage. And in addition to that, when you consider our industry, the industry is still in the growth stage as well. That is why there's not much regulation. The regulatory dynamics are changing. And at the same time, so the regulators are introducing new laws given the fact that this is still in the growth stage. And on top of that, there's a lot of uncertainty affecting not just us, but all players within this industry, because the customers are changing, the customer needs are changing, things are getting competitive because of the fact that sending a satellite is, or manufacturing and launching a satellite is extremely cheap. It's becoming cheaper and cheaper. So with all these things coming into play, it creates a lot of uncertainty. And it's essential when operating in an uncertain environment, it's essential that we, adhere to something called the emergent approach to strategy formulation. Because if you look at the normal strategy formulation approach, which is known as the rational planning model, the rational planning model is practiced by companies which are operating in a stable business environment. The rational planning model is practiced by companies which are at the maturity stage. However, Leothayre is at the growth stage, so is the industry. So when operating in this type of a dynamic market, then we cannot rely on decisions which were taken 12 months back, 24 months back, or 36 months back. Instead, we have to be ready to change ourselves as and when necessary. So this is what an emergent strategy is all about: changing ourselves, thereby keeping tabs about what happens within the industry at all times, keeping tabs about how the suppliers are changing, the changing needs of our clients, how the competitors are changing. We have to keep tabs about all these things. And whenever certain dynamic changes, we have to take steps to change ourselves. So in order to adopt an emergent method with regards to strategy formulation, we have to change the way in which we take decisions. We need to adhere to an approach which is known as an outside-in approach when it comes to decision making. And at all times, we have to be ready to change our plans in a continuous manner. And we should have a positive risk attitude, a positive risk appetite, because when we are trying to do something new at all occasions, we have to take on a lot of risks. So we have to maybe update our risk register when opting for an emergent approach to strategy formulation. So this time, since this time's pre-scene is based on a younger company which is at the growth stage, definitely your knowledge concerning the emergent approach will be tested. And you have to be conversant about disclosure legislation, essentially, given the fact that um, given the introduction of the SJC or the Space Junk Charter. So in order to fall in line with these sustainability initiatives, we need to start believing in something like integrated reporting. So your knowledge concerning the 6 capitals framework can be tested at the examination. And you have to deal with shareholder concerns as well. You should have the capability to evaluate how shareholder concerns will impact the share prices, as well as the internal dynamics of your chosen company, and how to deal with a share price drop, the type of communication which we need to carry out, and when conducting this type of communication, rather than simply trying to get in touch with our shareholders, it makes sense to go through, rely on investor briefings, because these investor briefings will be conducted by investment bankers, and shareholders listen and believe in investment bankers. So rather than simply going to town with news about what we are supposed to do, it's essential that we work through investment bankers, thereby relying on investor briefings. So these are the things which you need to do when dealing with a share price drop. So dealing with share price drops rather. So these things are covered within the mocks, and you have to be conversant with various different tools which appear within your E3 syllabus concerning competitor analysis. When you are operating in a dynamic market, we have to keep tabs about our competitors. So you have to have the capability of carrying out competitor analysis at your examination. And if you are trying to acquire a competitor, for instance, then again, your knowledge concerning competitor analysis comes into play, and your knowledge concerning scenario planning can be tested. In last week's workshop during the Q&A session, I explained how to deal with a scenario planning related question. Most of you were clueless of what scenario planning is. This is an area which will definitely be tested at your exam, especially given the fact that we are operating in an uncertain environment, and there's a hint about the SaaS business model being tested. So if we go for diversification as a company which is at the growth stage, definitely we have to pursue some type of diversification. When trying to do so, we are exposed to a lot of uncertainties, and the best way to deal with all these uncertainties when it comes to decision making is to rely on scenario planning. So this will be tested, and your knowledge concerning the suitability, acceptability, and the feasibility, or the SAF framework, can be tested at the exam. As you know, whenever a strategic option is supposed to be evaluated, before jumping the gun, we have to consider a holistic evaluation. And the best way to conduct a holistic evaluation is to utilize the SAF framework. Suitability, S stands for suitability. And under suitability, we are trying to figure out whether a certain strategic initiative is aligned with our vision, mission, and values. And under acceptability, we are trying to figure out how a certain strategic initiative is going to impact our stakeholders, our major stakeholders. So we are trying to figure out how our various different stakeholders will be impacted, how our clients, shareholders, the regulators, as well as the suppliers are going to get impacted, the launch providers. All these angles should be considered. And on top of that, under F, feasibility, we are trying to figure out whether we have the necessary financial and non-financial resources to implement the plan in a foolproof manner. So your knowledge concerning the SAF framework will definitely be tested at the exam. When the examiner is asking you to evaluate strategic options, don't try to rely on evaluating the pros and cons of a certain strategic initiative. Instead, utilize the SAF framework. You will understand how to do this in the most successful manner when you attempt our mock exams. And your knowledge concerning board responsibilities will definitely be tested, because as a senior finance manager, you have to have a good understanding about what the board members should do. So your knowledge concerning board committees, corporate governance, and whatnot will be tested at your exam. So your knowledge concerning how to manage system incompatibility, especially when pursuing some type of a diversification. If we acquire another company, we'll have to deal with their own systems. And when we try to integrate the acquired company's systems with the legacy systems which are in place within Leothayre, then we might be exposed to some type of system incompatibility. So you should know how to deal with these type of system incompatibilities. And also you should know how to manage the internal business environment when we are trying to do something new, especially when pursuing some type of a diversification. And again, tied to a diversification, your knowledge concerning the changes to the business ecosystem will be tested at the exam. And how to deal with these changes, because we might face some type of resistance to change. So how to deal with these changes in the most successful manner, as well as your knowledge concerning stakeholder management, concerning the Mendelow's matrix can be tested. I covered a question, an exam standard question to do with Mendelow's matrix in the third webinar. After I've taught you answering and time management techniques in the third webinar, I explain how to implement these techniques in a practical sense by taking you through one of the mock exams which we have developed concerning stakeholder management or the Mendelow's matrix. So if you missed out on the third webinar, please go watch the recorded version. Then you will understand how to deal with such a question in the most successful manner. And you should know how to what we should cover when conducting disciplinary action, as and when we are supposed to pursue disciplinary action. And on top of that, what to cover when appointing a risk manager. You should have the capability of explaining the rationale for the appointment of a risk manager. And on top of that, you should have the capability of explaining the responsibilities such an individual should carry out. And also your knowledge concerning appointing board committees, especially concerning sustainability, can be tested at the exam. Because as I mentioned earlier, I took you through the vision, mission, and values of your chosen company. And I mentioned that there's no indication about sustainability. So your knowledge concerning sustainability or setting up a board committee tied to sustainability will definitely be tested at the exam, since it's a shortcoming as per the vision, mission, and values of your chosen company. And your knowledge concerning corporate governance and ethics, ethical decision making will be tested. So you have to have a good understanding about board accountability. So the examiner will create a scenario or share some information via an unseen, in which the examiner highlights about, for instance, us outsourcing something to a third party. And when going for these type of outsourcing arrangements, you are supposed to evaluate whether the board is accountable or not, or where their accountability stops and whatnot. So your knowledge concerning board accountability will be tested at the exam. And you have to deal with directors' remuneration. And today's question, which I'm going to focus your attention towards in a little while when I'm taking you through the mock exam, is tied to directors' remuneration, how to deal with such instances, and how to deal with board restructures. There's a way in which you should conduct board restructuring. So your knowledge concerning board restructures will be tested, appointing an executive director versus a non-executive director. So you have to have a good understanding about whether an executive director will be relevant in a certain situation, or whether we should appoint a non-executive director. So you should have the capability of understanding the responsibilities of both executive and non-executive directors, and how to deal with us dismissing a director. There's a way in which we should dismiss a director. So these areas can be tested as well. And your knowledge concerning ethics as well as corporate governance tied to the chairman's or any board members' actions. You should have the capability of evaluating whether the actions of board members are aligned with corporate governance best practices as per the combined code of corporate governance, which is practiced in the UK, and whether the actions carried out by board members are ethical or not. And how to conduct lobbying or corporate political activity, or CPA, in the most ethical manner, as well as when dealing with sustainability disclosures, you might have seen that most companies out there, they come up with huge sustainability reports which are attached to the financial statements of the company, but everything is fine in print, but nothing gets done. Everybody believes in sustainability, but nobody actually does anything to achieve sustainability. So the ethics of sustainability disclosures will definitely be tested at your examination. So all these things are covered within the 7 mock exams which we have developed. All right, so these are the ways in which your knowledge concerning the E3 syllabus can be tested. So now you know how each syllabus area can be tested, and we have made sure to cover all these elements within our mock exams. Having said that, let's try to understand how these knowledge areas can be tested, especially concerning directors' remuneration. So we are going to move to the mock exam discussion. Before I do so, let me quickly remind you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the SCS page. If you're yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create a free user account. And once you have done so, you would gain access to our student dashboard. Click on My Courses, and in front of SCS Free, you would see an Access Content button. Please click on it. Once you have done so, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops we conduct. You'd also gain access to the SCS syllabus content document, the SCS pre-scene mind map, as well as the answer plan of mock exam 1 via the study material tab. Via the mocks tab, you'd gain access to the questions and suggested answers of mock exam 1. And via the exams tab, you have the opportunity of attempting mock exam 1 under exam conditions via the exam platform which we have developed, which is akin to the Pearson VUE system on which you'd attempt your real examination. So this is the best way to practice your answering, stress management, and time management techniques. So make use of this opportunity to attempt mock number 1 in its entirety under exam conditions via our exam platform. So these are the free resources on offer. And if you are interested in investing on our paid content, click on this button and check the sample material before you do so. And if you're yet to join our SCS WhatsApp group, click on this button and join it. Via this group, you'd benefit from discussions which you conduct. If there are questions, I'm always there to help you guys out. There were 2 questions pending which I couldn't tackle yesterday because I was busy with marking your answer scripts. But after today's workshop, I will address these 2 questions because I need to input lengthy answers. WhatsApp on my laptop was not working, so extremely sorry about the delay. But after the workshop, I will fix WhatsApp, and after that, I will input or share the details with you. Also, I will be sharing free resources on this WhatsApp group, and on top of that, we'll keep you guys informed of the commencement dates and times of the webinars and workshops. So make sure to join this WhatsApp group by clicking on this button. And talking about what we offer 2 packages, the essential course and the premium course. The essential course is designed for those who are coming through the general route or those who have completed their E3, P3, and F3 OTQ exams. So since you have completed your OTQ exams, you have already learned theory. It's simply a matter of improving your application skills. So with the intention of making sure that you have the chance of understanding how each syllabus area can be tested, and you have the chance of understanding what to do in terms of application, we have included some resources under the essential course. So under the essential course, you would gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops, the 6 mock exams with suggested answers. Although this says 6 mock exams, we have taken steps to include 7 mock exams because I've considered another angle. Given the fact that Leothayre is a small company, I've considered an angle in which we are acquired by another company. So if we are a huge company, this might not happen. But since Leothayre is a small company, based on this premise, I've developed a 7th mock exam as well. So you'd also gain access to pre-scene analysis videos, 4 videos in total. Once you have watched these pre-scene analysis videos, you will gain an in-depth understanding of what appears within your pre-seen document. You need not try and evaluate the pre-seen document on your own. We have done it for you. You'd also gain access to the annotated pre-seen. You saw what the annotated pre-seen looks like a while back, because I explained the vision, mission, and values of your chosen company focused on this annotated pre-seen. You'd also gain access to the industry and financial analysis slides. Let me quickly show you what I'm talking about. So the industry analysis slides are divided into 4 main parts. In the first part, we have explained or defined your industry. In the second part, we have explained the competitive landscape, explained about the competitive landscape. And then in the third part, we have also highlighted the industry trends. And based on these industry trends, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. And towards the very end, we have considered 2 real-life companies and explained what these 2 real-life companies go through within your chosen industry. And similarly, we have evaluated each of your financial statements, which appear towards the very end of your pre-seen. So we have evaluated the SOPL, making sure to keep things simple so that you can easily gain an understanding of what appears within each financial statement. So we have evaluated the SOPL, the SOFP, the statement of changes in equity, as well as at the very end, we have conducted a ratio analysis. Again, we have kept things simple. And at the same time, we have made sure to compare Leothayre's performance against its closest competitor Oberlink in one single place, so that you can easily understand where your company stands against its closest competitor. All right, so these are the resources on offer under the essential course. You'd also gain access to top 20 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at the exam. You'd also gain access to the case study familiarization kit. Read through this kit to gain a good understanding about the technicalities behind your SCS exam. You will also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you were struggling with a certain syllabus area, don't waste time to go through your past notes or bulky study texts. Simply refer to the OTQ revision cards. In a jiffy, you are in a position to brush up your theory knowledge. So the essential course used to be £299. However, since we are still in the final 1.5 weeks, we are providing a 65% discount. So the essential course is just £99. So if you are yet to start preparations, if you are yet to invest on exam standard mocks, at least go for the essential course, because by having access to these mock exams, you will understand how each syllabus area can be tested, which significantly improves your chances of passing the SCS exam. All right, so the essential course, we are offering a 65% discount. And talking about the premium course is designed for those who are coming through the exemption routes and those who had failed the SCS exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So with the intention of teaching you theory and making sure that you understand how to work on application, we have included some additional resources under the premium course on top of what appears under the essential course. So under the premium course, you'd gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all mock exams under exam conditions, which is the best way to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. You will also receive tutor feedback on 2 mock exams, namely mocks 3 and 5. Let me quickly show you the type of feedback on offer. As you can see, we have evaluated each and every point with the prime intention of highlighting your shortcomings, because if you understand your shortcomings, you can take steps to overcome them when you are conducting revision. So this is the type of feedback on offer at TCS. And at the very end, we provide mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis, along with a success rate. By looking at the yellow highlighted subtasks, you can easily understand the subtasks which were substandard. And once you have understood your shortcomings, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans. All right, so this is the type of feedback on offer, which is included under the premium course. And you'd also gain access to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams, which makes your life easy when it comes to revising your knowledge, because you will easily understand how to structure your answers properly. You will easily learn theoretical elements and how to tackle application when you have access to these answer plans. And in a little while, you will see what an answer plan looks like, because based on the answer plan which we have developed for mock exam 1, I'm going to conduct the mock exam discussion. And you'd also gain access to 15 master classes. The easiest way to learn theory and application is to watch these master classes, which are based on our mock exams. So the premium course is priced at £849, which can be paid in 2 installments of £424 each. Or if you opt to pay in full, you will save £100. If so, the price is just £749. So you can click on either of these buttons and invest on your preferred course. And having said that, let's quickly try to understand what you're supposed to achieve within this week as per our 8-week original study plan. So we are in week number 7. Just like what you did last week, you are supposed to dedicate 9 hours of study time. And within this week, you are supposed to master mock number 6. So attempt mock number 6 via our exam platform, thereby practicing answering time management and stress management techniques. Once you have practiced these 3 techniques under exam conditions, watch the 3 master classes to learn how to structure each answer, to learn the theoretical elements covered within mock number 6, and to learn how to work on your application skills. Once you have learned theory and application skills, then test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans concerning mock number 6. Once you have redeveloped your answer plans, compare them to TCS's answer plans to see what your shortcomings are and to further improve your skill set. So within this week, focus your attention towards mock number 6. And if you are sticking to our 3-week study plan, then within this week, you are supposed to attempt mocks 5 and 6. So if you are sticking to our original 8-week study plan, simply attempt mock number 6 within this week. And if you are sticking to our 3-week study plan, you are supposed to attempt mocks 5 and 6 within this week. So let's try to understand what's covered within mock number 6. So mock number 6 is focused on the theme of an expansion. So I've considered a situation where we are trying to expand our market share. So when we are expanding, we have to do something new. And when we are trying to do something new, definitely our levels of uncertainty will increase, especially given the fact that we are dealing in an uncertain business environment. So there is a mention about industry uncertainty within your risk report. So I've made sure to cover this element in the 6th mock exam tied with currency risk, because when we are moving to a new country, for instance, definitely we are exposed to forex movements or forex risk. So I've considered these 2 elements, and you have to have the capability of setting up internal controls to manage and prevent some type of risk from occurring in the future. And then if you are exposed to some additional risks, we have to update our risk register. So you have to understand how to do this in the most successful manner, especially given the fact that there is no mention about environmental risks within your risk report. So you should have a capability of understanding how to update the risk register considering environmental risks. So let me quickly take you to the annotated precedents risk report. So there's a mention of 6 different risks in here, which are tied to industry uncertainty, regulatory risks, technological failure risk, and supply dependency, client dependency, and macroeconomic risks. However, there is no mention about environmental risks. So I've considered this as a notable gap when looking at your principal risks. So there's no mention about the space debris risk or environmental risk. So given this issue, definitely your knowledge concerning how to update the risk register considering environmental risks can be tested at the exam, and how to deal with economic risk, which again falls in line with risk identification, is highlighted within this mock exam. And when trying to do something new, we have to deal with lenders, and when dealing with lenders, we have to prove our credit worthiness to them, especially if we are dealing with international lenders or if we are dealing with lenders for the first time. So you have to have the capability of explaining the credit worthiness of your company, which angles to focus on when explaining the creditworthiness, and how to opt for a rights issue when opting for equity. It's essential that we first consider a rights issue and how to deal with a rights issue in the most successful manner to make sure that it will not fail in the future. So this is covered. And when trying to do something new, the business ecosystem changes. So how to deal with these type of changes to the business ecosystem. I've covered this within mock number 6. And the mission statement against both board responsibilities is covered within mock number 6. And appointing a board committee tied to sustainability, what to focus on, how to appoint such a board committee in the most successful manner. So all these things are covered within mock number 6, which is based on an expansion scenario. And within this week, although I said that you are simply supposed to attempt mock number 6 if you are sticking to our 8-week study plan, or if you are sticking to our 3-week study plan, you are supposed to attempt mocks 5 and 6. We have included a 7th mock exam as well. You need not attempt this under exam conditions. Simply read through the questions and the answer plans or the suggested answers to understand how to tackle these syllabus areas. So the theme is a buy side or sell side merger or acquisition. So I've considered both elements or scenarios rather. One scenario is a situation where we are being acquired, and the other scenario is a situation where we are acquiring a smaller company. All right, so that's why I've considered buy side as well as sell side mergers and acquisitions. So how to deal with acquisition evaluations, I've covered this. And how to deal with post-acquisition risks, which is tied to risk identification and management, is covered within mock number 7. And how to deal with post-acquisition finance, and comparing between inorganic and organic growth, whether we should acquire a company or grow by our own selves, and how to deal with a share-based acquisition. When acquiring another company, we can go for a share-to-share offer, and how to deal with this type of a share-to-share or a share-based acquisition, and how to deal with us becoming acquired, us becoming a subsidiary of a larger company, and how to deal with acquisition negotiations when someone is trying to acquire us, and how to deal with cybersecurity risks, because that's a notable gap as well. There's no mention about cybersecurity risk within our risk report. So I've covered this within mock number 7. And when converging systems, irrespective of whether we are acquired or whether we are acquiring a company, when converging systems, we will be faced with some type of issues. So internal audit responsibility. So how the internal audit department should conduct its operations when trying to converge these two systems. I've covered such a scenario within mock number 7 as well. So I'm not expecting you to attempt mock number 7 and stick to the same process. Simply read through the questions and go through the suggested answers and the answer plans. Then you will easily understand how to tackle each of these syllabus areas. All right, so having said that, let's try to understand what appears within today's mock. As I mentioned earlier, we are offering a 65% discount on the SCS Essential course. It used to be £299, but now it's just £99. So invest on the Essential course if you're yet to gain access to exam standard and pre-scene specific mock exams, because we have made sure to cover all syllabus areas across the 7 mock exams. We have made sure to cover all scenarios which are 100% aligned with your current pre-scene document, current risk report, current financial statements, and current news articles. When developing each of these mock exams, we have considered the information presented in each news article, which indicates the type of scenarios which can be tested at the exam. So if you're yet to invest on exam standard mock exams, which are intended to cover all syllabus areas, simply purchase right now, because we are offering a 65% discount since we are closer to the examination. All right, so let's try to understand how to tackle a question tied to board remuneration. So we are in section number 1. The time allocation is 60 minutes. So I'm going to direct your attention towards the second subtask. However, to make sure that you understand what this second subtask is all about, I'm going to read through the scenario of the first subtask as well. So you are receiving an email from your CFO, and the subject goes as diversification and industry pressures. The board is currently evaluating a related diversification strategy that involves offering weather forecasting services through a software as a service or a SaaS business model. This proposed initiative is driven by growing national demand for real-time, localized weather data, particularly across sectors such as agriculture, construction, and offshore operations. So there's a lot of demand for real-time, localized weather data. That is why we are contemplating about whether we should opt for this type of diversification tied to a SaaS business model. To support this diversification, Leothayre would need to make a significant investment in advanced data analytics capabilities. So we have to invest on data analytics. This includes integrating satellite-derived data with machine learning algorithms to generate timely, actionable forecasts tailored to individual client needs. So there are certain investments tied to us opting for a SaaS-related diversification. Financial analysts are generally optimistic about this direction, projecting long-term gains such as higher revenues through the adoption of a recurring subscription-based revenue model. So we are gaining access to an additional revenue stream if we go down this route. And this will ensure that we are getting rid of a certain risk which appears within the principal risks, which is tied to client dependency. So we are dependent on a single a limited number of clients at the moment. So we can get rid of this dependency if we go down this route. And so projecting long-term gains such as higher revenues through the adoption of recurring subscription-based revenue model, stronger operating cash flows, and upward pressure on the company's share price, assuming successful execution. However, analysts have also noted that Leothayre's beta may increase in the short term as the transition into a new service-oriented business model exposes the company to greater operational, technological, and strategic risks. All right, so the second subtask scenario is tied to this scenario as well. Encouraged by financial analysts' projections of improved revenue, stronger cash flow, and potential share price appreciation, the CEO remarked that, assuming a successful launch and market response, board members' bonuses should be increased to reflect their role in driving strategic growth. So the CEO is suggesting that everything looks good. So assuming that everything is okay, this individual is suggesting rewards to our board members via bonuses. The comment has sparked internal debate regarding the appropriateness and timing of such a proposal, given the early stage of this initiative and the risks associated with entering a new business model. So some board members are saying, okay, we are trying to do something new, which is going to increase our risk exposure. When doing something new in an uncertain business environment, should we jump the gun and pay ourselves bonuses? That's what some of the directors are saying, but the CEO is saying, okay, things look good. The financial analysts had painted a positive picture. So because of that, now we should improve the bonuses paid to board members. That's what the CEO is suggesting. You are supposed to evaluate the CEO's suggestion with regards to the bonus. So before you develop the answer plan, you are supposed to simplify the requirement in your own words. So this is already a simplified requirement because this is an extremely short requirement. However, I've further simplified it as director's bonus. So you are supposed to evaluate about how to deal with director's bonuses as per the CEO's suggestions. Then after you have simplified the requirement with the prime intention of gaining a clear understanding of what you are supposed to achieve when developing this answer plan, once you have understood the requirement clearly, then your next step should be to understand the mark allocations based on the weightage provided. So the weightage is 20%, which indicates the fact that 20% of 50 marks are dedicated for this subtask because, as you know, each section carries 50 marks in total. So 20% of 50 marks come up to 10 marks in total. So in order to gain 10 marks, you should then determine, in order to get 10 marks, how many points you should include within this subtask. So divide 10 by 3, which comes up to 3. Then divide 10 by 2, which comes up to 5. So if you include 3 to 5 valid points, then you will get full marks for this subtask. All right, so now you know how many points you need to include. Now let's try to understand how you should structure your answer. So I've come up with a main heading, which goes as director's bonus, which is in bold and underlined format. So there are multiple angles which you should consider when developing an answer tied to director's bonuses or board remuneration. First things first, you need to think in terms of governance considerations. We have to think about whether we are falling in line with the corporate governance best practices. Then you have to think about how the stakeholders will react to this type of bonus. And then you need to think about the reputation of the company, whether paying a bonus at this juncture will expose us to some type of risk. I feel that the risk which you should consider is reputational risk at this juncture. And also, when dealing with board remuneration, the remuneration committee's role should be considered. So always make sure to mention the remuneration committee's role when tackling questions to do with board remuneration. And at the very end, I've provided a recommendation as well, which is not actually necessary, because you are simply supposed to evaluate the suggestion. You are not supposed to come up with your own recommendation, but in order to come up with a holistic answer, so that if by any chance, if you are asked to recommend what we are supposed to do, you'd know what to, how to tackle this type of a question. That's why I've included a recommendation at the very end as well. So these are the angles I've considered. So first things first, let's try to direct our attention towards governance considerations. So whenever we are paying bonuses to board members, we should reward realized performance, not projected outcomes. So we are dealing with projected outcomes as per this scenario, because the financial analysts had painted a positive picture based on their own projections. They are projecting that the revenues are going to increase, the cash flows are going to increase, so would our share price if the SaaS model, if we diversify to include the SaaS business model within our current operations. So that's a projection. We are yet to implement the SaaS business model. So bonuses should reward realized performance, not projected outcomes. So based on projected outcomes, the CEO is suggesting the fact that we should pay bonuses to board members, which is us going against, or the CEO going against governance considerations. And on top of that, yes, we are exposed to certain benefits due to pursuing the SaaS business model, such as recurring revenue, improved cash flows, and the share price is poised to increase as well. However, these positive outcomes remain unproven. We are not too sure whether we are going to achieve them or not, because we are yet to implement the SaaS business model. And paying a premature or opting for premature rewards shows that we are not aligning with good governance practices. Because as I mentioned earlier, as per corporate governance best practices, if we are to pay a bonus, we have to think in terms of rewarding realized performance, not projected outcomes. So what I'm saying is the fact that the CEO's suggestion is done without considering governance best practices or corporate governance best practices. So that's with regards to governance. Then let's direct our attention towards stakeholder implications. Let's try to understand how the stakeholders are going to react to this type of bonus payment. So we might face a potential shareholder pushback. Why am I saying this? Because they might perceive that this bonus payment is misaligned with long-term value creation. So we are trying to do something new for the first time. When trying to do something new for the first time, we are exposed to some additional risks. We are already operating in an uncertain business environment. So we are exposed to a lot of risks at the moment. And on top of that, when we are trying to operate in uncharted waters, then our risks, we'd be exposed to additional set of risks. When this is the case, there's a high chance of this SaaS business model actually being negative for us. So when there's a lot of uncertainty, it makes absolutely no sense to pay rewards to our board members. When shareholders get to know about the fact that when trying to do something new, when operating in uncharted waters, the board members are trying to reward themselves, then they will know for sure that the board members are self-serving rather than thinking about the long-run benefits on offer via the SaaS business model. So, as I mentioned earlier, the shareholders will see the board members as self-serving, and because of that, especially given the fact that we have not generated any additional revenues via the SaaS business model. If we have generated some additional revenue, then it makes sense to reward our board members. However, this is not the case. And when this is when the shareholders get to know about this, they will doubt the capabilities as well as the objectives of our board members. Also, we have to think about ESG conscious investors as well, especially focusing on attention towards the ESG conscious investors. This timing may appear ethically questionable to these type of investors. And on top of that, there is no mention about us trying to remunerate our own employees. We are only thinking, the CEO is only thinking in terms of paying bonuses to shareholders. So when this is the case, when ESG conscious shareholders get to know about the fact that the CEO is only thinking about remunerating board members, not all employees within the organization, then there will be a pushback from these ESG conscious investors as well. So all in all the shareholders will be opposed to this move. And if they are opposed, they will end up selling their share. And if so, the share price will drop right before we start something new, which is going to be disastrous for the company. And on top of that, especially concerning ESG conscious investors, when they know for a fact that we are not remunerating everyone in the company, instead we are simply remunerating the board members, they will also end up selling their stocks as well. All right. And this exposes us to reputational risk, which could erode stakeholder trust, because when our board members are seen as self-serving, it leads to a dip in shareholder confidence. And when the shareholder confidence dips, so would the share price, thereby exposing us to reputational risks. And also, when dealing with board remunerations, we have to think about the role of the remuneration committee. So we have to make sure that bonus adjustments should or must go through the remuneration committee. As per corporate governance best practices, as per the Combined Code of Corporate Governance, which is practiced in the UK, whenever we are dealing with board remuneration, the remuneration committee should decide these pay packages, be it bonuses, some type of financial or non-financial remuneration. So these bonus adjustments must go through the remuneration committee. The CEO has no power to decide on herself, as to whether we should pay the board members bonuses or not. So it should go through the remuneration committee. And as per what appears within your pre-seen document, the current remuneration committee's composition is aligned with corporate governance best practices, because as per CG best practices, it's essential that half of the members should be non-executive directors, independent non-executive directors. So when looking at the remuneration committee of your chosen company, all are independent non-executive directors. So there's absolutely no issue in terms of the composition. However, if you are paying a bonus, it should go through the remuneration committee, and the remuneration committee should grant the formal approval subject to the achievement of certain KPIs or key performance indicators. So the remuneration committee should be satisfied about the fact that this new initiative has generated additional profitability for the company. So that's why I've mentioned SaaS profitability is one of the KPIs, and client adoption of these new SaaS services on offer, that's another KPI, and subscription revenue, because we are exposed to additional revenue streams via subscription business. So, subscription revenue, growth in subscription revenue or subscription revenue targets should be considered as another KPI. And we are investing on analytics capabilities AI-backed or machine learning algorithms to be precise. So since we are investing some money, we have to think in terms of the returns we generate via these investments. So analytics related return on investments or ROI should be another KPI as well. So the remuneration committee, if they are satisfied with KPI achievement tied to SaaS profitability, client adoption, subscription revenue, and analytics return on investment, then they can proceed with a formal approval to pay a bonus to board members. That's the proper way of doing things. The CEO cannot dictate terms and say, okay, we are going to blindly pay a bonus to our board members. Instead, it's the responsibility of the remuneration committee. That's why a remuneration committee appears within a company, is supposed to appear within a company which believes in corporate governance best practices. And therefore, my recommendation is to defer the bonus decision until the SaaS model proves sustainable and profitable, until we achieve these KPIs. We should not pay a bonus to our board members. And on top of that, it's essential that we develop a communication strategy and clarify the rationale, with the intention of clarifying the rationale behind this deferral. If the CEO has already informed financial analysts or some shareholders about us planning to pay a bonus to our board members, if this is the case, if we go for deferral, then we have to communicate it appropriately as well. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, there's absolutely no point of including this final point. However, your knowledge concerning recommendations are tested. Now you know how to tackle such a question as well. So if you have included these 4 points: governance considerations, stakeholder implications, our risk exposure, as well as the remuneration committee's role, you will get full marks for this type of a question. So this is how you should structure your answer. Once you have structured your answer in bullet points, then utilizing your remaining time, which could be 25 to 30 minutes, you are supposed to expand your answer plan in paragraph form. Your final answer should not look like this, because if you include answers in point form or single line sentences, your marker is not going to mark your paper. You are not going to get any marks. So it's essential that you take steps to expand your answer plan in paragraph form. So this is the same answer. The only thing which I've done is I've fleshed out the answer plan which I've developed. So the entire answer should be in paragraph form. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover. I hope you gained a good understanding of how to tackle or deal with a question to do with board remuneration. All right, so I'm happy to say that we achieved a 92% pass rate in the past SCS sitting. So if you want to achieve a similar feat, stick to our study plan. And if you are yet to get your hands on exam standard mock exams and study material, at least invest on the SCS Essential course. We are providing a 65% discount, which is a significant discount. So in this final weeks, final 1.5 weeks, you can still pass if you gain access to these 7 mock exams. So gain access to them via the Essential course. All right. So having said that, we are moving to the Q&A. If you have any questions or concerns, you can raise them right now by switching on your mic and having a chat with me, or dropping a message via the chat. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks, thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Click on the contact area and drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email during office hours, or you can simply directly email us via info@study@tcs.com. Or if you want instantaneous information, get in touch with us via WhatsApp. And if you are yet to join our social media handles, please do join them, especially YouTube and TikTok, because via YouTube, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops. And via TikTok, you'd gain access to a pre-seen mind map, 6 videos in total. Keep watching these 6 videos to constantly keep yourself reminded of the most important points which are highlighted within your pre-seen document. Also, if you're yet to read the blog post, please click on the blog area and read this blog post, which is a good article which shares information with regards to Leothayre, its internals, externals, and financial statements in a nutshell. All right. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the third workshop in which I directed your attention towards your E3 syllabus. And I hope you will keep, sticking to our study plan, keep pushing, because in these final weeks, things will get stressful. Don't give in to pressure. Keep moving, keep pushing forward, because if you put in the hard yards within this final week, you can forget about CIMA forever. All right. I know how, stressful this examination is. This is one of the hardest exams to pass out there, given the fact that you are dealing with a professional qualification, but this is going to open a lot of doors for you. So be serious. If you are yet to gain access to mock exams, invest on the essential course, because it is on a discount, a significant 65% discount, because it's essential that you, at least right now, that you have access to exam standard mock exams covering all syllabus areas. So keep fighting, keep pushing forward. If you encounter any hiccups, drop me a message. I'm always there to help you out. And I hope to see you guys next week at the final workshop, in which I'm going to share last minute tips with you, which is going to be a confidence booster. So thank you for joining. I'll see you guys next Saturday at 9 GMT or 10 AM UK.